Good morning, darlings. How are you? Dr. Lucy here from Real Life Medicine. Getting ready. I'm on my way to work and I have to skedaddle this morning because I've got a patient I booked in earlier because he's a bit unwell and I want to check him out. So this week I've done 2 big coaching calls in our membership and in the 12-week rebalance, and they centre around a few concepts. But we talked last night about the thought model. So the thought model is something that if you've listened to our podcast, you will have heard us talk about. And it really centres on this idea that you have an event. Morning, Monique. You have an event, which I call the factual event, where no one can dispute the facts. And then you'll have your thoughts about that event, and that will generate your feelings. Now, your thoughts are going to be based partly on your beliefs. So what you've thought about things in the past. Remember, you'll hear us say this, that your brain is a pattern machine. When it thinks something, if it's thought it a few times, it then goes, oh, well, that's my thought about it. It just, it's automatic. It's a bit like when you put your email into the browser and it just pops up. Then you can try and change your email and it's so annoying because you've got your old email and it keeps popping up. It's exactly what our brain's like. It is just a pattern machine. Morning, Susan and Pip, gorgeous girls. So the idea that we have thoughts around certain things and we think that we can't change those, but we absolutely can. Thoughts are just connections between 2 nerve cells. That's it. In your brain, sitting there. A little pathway. Now, when we've thought that pathway a lot, it becomes very, very deep and deeply embedded. And sometimes it's so deeply embedded we don't even realize we've got it. It sort of can be even in our subconscious. Hello, Dale. So one of the things that comes up a lot is the idea that whatever we're doing, it's not good enough. It's not enough. I love this. I've got this little saying, stuff the enough. Because we will hop on the scales and we'll go, I was expecting more than that. It's not enough. And then we're set with disappointment. Disappointment is an uncomfortable emotion. What we talked about last night in our group was the idea that actually learning to identify our emotions is really important because we don't use a big range of words and we often don't pinpoint. We have big umbrella terms for emotions. So it might be stress. I'm stressed, I'm anxious, I'm pissed off. That's another one. You just go, yeah, I'm pissed off. What does that actually mean? It can mean lots of things. It can be angry, it can be disappointment, it can be resentful, it can be hurt. It can be a whole pile of things, but we'll just stick it under this umbrella term of pissed off. Or stressed. I'm stressed. Stress can be worried. It can be frightened. It can be overwhelmed. It can be also resentful. It can be insecure. All of those can mean stressed, but we just call it the one thing. So what I would like you to really be thinking about over the next week, and particularly our 12-weekers, because we worked on this quite a bit last night, is getting a bit clearer on identifying emotions and thinking about what the thought is behind them. Because it's only when you really become aware of what's going on in your brain that you can change it. For most of us, we just sort of lurch from one event to another in oblivion without really being able to identify what's going on for us. And if we can't identify what's going on, then we can't make any changes. And so we feel stuck. But when you can identify what it is, what your emotion is and what the thought is behind it, only then can you make some changes. This week was meant to be all about simple. That's not simple at all. That is a really complex concept and I understand if you don't get it straight away. It's really hard. But as you know, one of my other favourite sayings, I've got about 10,000 favourite sayings, we can do hard things. We absolutely can. And we do them all the time. And what we need to do is when we do hard things, acknowledge it. And say, wow, I did a hard thing. It was really good. So on that note, and I love tooting, toot your trumpet. I want to toot our podcast. I was directed to a site where you can look up your podcast ranking in the world. And this site said that our podcast is in the top 1.5% of podcasts worldwide. And I just went, oh my God, I can't believe that. And then I thought, yes, I can believe it. We turn up every week. We make sure we've got a fancy pants producer who makes the sound all crisp. Hopefully we've got good content. You guys seem to like it. So why can't I believe that we're in the top 1.5%? I can believe it. So there we go. That's me. Toot my trumpet. I'd like you to do that too. All right, lovelies. I will see you all another time. Mary's back next week. We'll go from there. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Stay well. See you soon.